My girlfriend was attacked and impregnated, but I broke up with her because she wanted to keep the baby. Subscribe to Am I the Jerk on YouTube and hit the bell to turn on notifications. This is a really terrible situation. 2 months ago, my girlfriend was attacked in a park. More than attacked, actually. The unspeakable happened to her. She didn't want to report it, and she went into a full breakdown. She wouldn't speak to the police. She wouldn't go to the hospital. I couldn't force her, so I just stayed with her. She was obviously in a very low state since, and I've been with her, by her side, listening to her, helping her. We went to therapy, and she knows that I'm there for her. She has a history of depression, and I've been really worried. Last week, we found out that she was pregnant. I was abroad for 2 months before the attack on work and came back early to care for her, so the baby definitely is not mine. She is 100% sure it's the attackers. So we had a discussion. She is a devout Catholic, and we initially decided on a termination, but after speaking to her mother, she has decided to keep the baby, saying that it isn't the baby's fault. I flat out told her that I would not help raise the baby of a guy who attacked her like this. She cried and she begged me not to leave. I told her she is the one making the choice. Either she keeps the baby and I leave, or she terminates the baby and I stay. I would not let this go. She didn't want either of those things to happen, so I told her we were done. I feel horrible. Was I the jerk? So if we fast forward into the future, there is an update. I'll post the update first since there have been some changes since last time. Then I'll respond to general points made from the last thread and a ton of the messages I received. Yesterday, I received a call from my girlfriend. She was crying and she begged me to listen to her. I told her that I still care for her and that I'll obviously listen to what she has to say. She told me that a few days after I told her we were done, she called up her mother to talk about this. Apparently what happened before was that she pretty much decided on the termination. But then when she spoke to her mother told her that under no accounts should she terminate and that I was actually manipulating her to do so. Her mother went on to say that if she terminated the child, she would no longer consider my girlfriend as her daughter. After I left, my girlfriend called her mom to talk about what went on. My girlfriend said that she desperately wanted to terminate the baby, and her mother again said that if she does do so, this will be the last time they ever speak again. My girlfriend said she broke down on the phone, and her mother kept asking what she will do. The conversation ended when my girlfriend said that she didn't know. Then she started texting. After a few hours of thinking, my girlfriend sent her mom a text saying that she was going to terminate. She was then blocked. My girlfriend then called me and told me everything. She will be having the termination in 3 weeks. I discussed this with my girlfriend and we both completely agreed that I had not manipulated her in any way and that she appreciated that I put my foot down because had I not, she would have had a baby who would remind her of the worst time of her life. Those are her words, not mine. She further went on to say that I am the best thing that has ever happened to her and that she knew that even if she no longer had a mom, if she had me, she could get through this. I broke down at this point. I love her. In truth, I probably would have gone back to her and raised this baby with her, even though I knew I'd resent it. I made the original thread to get some backing rather than anything to see if I had made the right decision. I'm so relieved that things turned out the way that they have. Also, down with any mother who places religion over their own child. Lunatics. Now to respond to some of the questions. Number 1. No, my girlfriend did not cheat on me. I am almost certain about this. Not only because she has the conscience of a fragile angel, but also because we know each other's schedules really well, and we often talk to friends who can corroborate things. Moreover, her roommate took photos of my girlfriend after she came home assaulted. It's not just getting the business rough as some of you jerks put it. Number 2, I don't give a rat's butt if you think that termination is a sin or the killing of a baby. Come and raise the baby or give us money to raise the baby or hire us a live-in maid to tend to my girlfriend's every need while she is pregnant if you're so sanctimonious. Talk the talk, then walk the walk, you winking baboons. Number 3, my girlfriend was absolutely clear she wanted to raise the baby, probably influenced by the mom. Number 4, thanks to everyone that told me I did the right thing. It was really difficult. I'm glad it turned out the way it did. And number 5, to the people who PM me telling me I'm a monstrous baby killer, I fail to see what my hobbies have to do with this issue. So that's not everything. There is actually another fast forward in time into the future for another update that takes place after the termination. I was hoping to post here again after the termination, still scheduled for 2 weeks weeks' time, but I thought I should provide an update on some recent events from a mother from the pits of Satan's rectum. On Saturday, I answered my door and stood face to face with two police officers. They asked me if I was who I was, and I replied that I was. They then said that they were looking for my girlfriend. I called her over, and the police officer said that he needs to have a word with her. The officers then split, one taking my girlfriend into the living room, we let them in, and the other that took me into my bedroom. The officer who took me started asking me questions about how long my girlfriend had been there, if she had contact with anyone else, if she had left the house at all, and a few other questions. I answered, and then I asked what this was about, but the officer just said they received a report to check in on the girlfriend. I asked who reported, and the officer couldn't say. After a while, the other officer was done, and they both left. The moment they left, my girlfriend told me that she was outrightly asked if she was in danger and that if I had been hurting her. She was also asked if she was being held against her will. She said no to everything, of course. She said that the police received a call from her mother saying that she might be in danger and that I could be hurting her. I was livid. I immediately said I was going to press charges against her mother. For what? I don't know. Harassment, probably. My girlfriend begged me not to and said that it would all just blow over and that she just needs time to calm down. What? She sent police to my house to get me arrested. How is that sane thinking? I could lose my job if I was arrested and charged. What was she thinking? I told my girlfriend that if her mother does anything like this again, I will definitely press charges. So my girlfriend decides on Sunday to talk to the mom to tell her not to do anything like this again. They had a conversation for about 2 minutes and then I started hearing sobs. Immediately I walked into the room and my girlfriend was crying, still holding the phone against her ear. I plucked the phone from her hand and I held it for a bit as I heard, "Hello?" from the phone, and then I put it on me and said, "You are a disgrace of a mother." And then I hung up. Then I held the girlfriend for what felt like an hour before we started talking. Apparently, the mother was telling the girlfriend how if she continues with the termination, she will never see her mother again, or her brother, or her deceased father who is in heaven, even though he died as a drunk, violent alcoholic who beat his girlfriend. But hey, repent your sin to death, am I right? Because my girlfriend was going to damnation. I told my girlfriend that if she was going to hell, then she should save me a seat, and we'd be nice and toasty together. I love her smile. What do you think, if anything, I should do about the mother? No doubt my words to her will have some reactions. Here are the answers to 2 questions people asked. Termination was never an option. My girlfriend was adamant she wanted to raise the baby influenced by her mother, and if you suggest adoption anyway, then you truly do not understand how taxing a normal pregnancy is, let alone one dipped in a beautiful cocktail of the horrific attack that she endured. And number 2, you can believe my girlfriend cheated on me if that makes you feel better about your lives, I suppose. Just for your information, the pictures and roommate's report showed that she had a bloodied nose, black eyes, cuts and bruises against her arms, hands and knees, torn coat and top, bruises around her neck. Cheating, right. And fast forwarding one final time, there is one final update after all of this. I just want to update folks on this whole saga. This will be my final update. A few days ago, the termination was carried out. During the weeks beforehand, my girlfriend went to a counselor and talked to a nurse about why she wanted the termination. She was also tested for any STIs. She's clear. She went ahead with the termination after getting the all clear. A few days ago, it was successfully carried out. They went for the surgical termination method, which involved using a vacuum to suck the pregnancy out. My girlfriend said it was pretty painless and she was able to return home after just a few hours. When she came home, she cried and cried and cried. She says she feels like a huge weight had been lifted and she can finally look to moving on with her life. We took off a whole week of work and yesterday we went camping. It rained. While in the tent, she talked about how difficult life was sometimes, but she got really glad things turned out the way that they did, because even though things were bad, she came out the other side probably stronger than before. She's amazing, man. Seriously. And as for the mom, so my girlfriend received a call from her mom who was asking if she went through with the termination. My girlfriend and I have an agreement that if her mom calls, either hang up or give it to me. In this instance, she answered, didn't know what to say, and gave it to me. I told the mom that the termination went perfectly and smiled as she cursed at me for about a minute. And then I said, "How Jesus of you," at which point she hung up. My girlfriend did not find it funny. Anyway, that's it. Good luck to everyone in their lives. Also, if you're going to message message me and insult me via PM, just be warned, I've killed a baby before. So knowing everything that you know, was I the jerk? This story was very heavy and very sad, and even though the way the boyfriend writes out how things seem to have worked out, I don't know that they ever will for the girlfriend. The memories of this horrible thing happening to her are probably going to haunt her for the rest of her life. I mean, that's one of those things that for most people, you can't just get over, even if it seems like they came to a conclusion about what to do. Besides having to mentally deal with this whole situation for the rest of her life, the girlfriend is also going to have to deal with her mother cutting her out of her life, and I assume that'll take a toll of its own, because even people that don't get along with their parents still have to carry the toll of losing a relationship with their parents, whether they got along with them or not. The number one response to the entire story says, women, if you have an unplanned pregnancy, if you are considering a termination, and if your parent can be overbearing in any way or make you feel less than, please be very careful speaking to them about your condition. You have authority over your body and your future, not them or any other entity. Let me know if that's something you agree with, and if you were the boyfriend in this situation, would you stay with the girlfriend if she kept the baby? Let me know your thoughts down below. Jerk or not a jerk, and why? Am I the jerk for refusing to have my tattoo removed even if it makes my husband uncomfortable and insecure? I was a widow for 3 years until I met my fiance, Julius. I lost my husband and 4-year-old son on a boating accident. When I got back on my feet after losing them, I had their names tattooed on my chest. Nothing grand, it's just their names in cursive and 2 hearts. When I met Julius, I told him about my past, including my depression and how I had to move back to my parents and depended on them for years. He was very understanding, and after over a year of dating, he proposed. Yesterday, while I was getting out of the shower, Julius asked me when I plan on having my tattoo removed. He said he knows someone who's really good and he could give us a discount. This was the first time he mentioned something like this to me, so I wasn't sure how to respond. I just told him I have no plans of having my tattoo removed. Later that day, during dinner, he asked me again and I told him the same thing. He said, we're about to get married and it's time for me to move on. I told him I have already moved on. He said it's hardly moving on when I still have their names on my chest that he can see every time we're intimate. He said it makes him uncomfortable and insecure of my love for him because it looks like I can't let go of my past. He's been giving me the cold shoulder since. I told my mom about what happened and she just told me that she understands how Julius feels. Am I the jerk? This is one of those situations where it shouldn't be assumed that she was just going to get rid of the tattoo. Before he proposed to her, he probably should have talked about how this tattoo made him feel. Regardless whether it's logical or not, something doesn't have to be logical for it to be real to that person who feels it. Because if he forces the issue and gets her to remove the tattoo when she doesn't naturally want to do that, that is just yet another seed of resentment that has been planted. And maybe it won't be anything in the short term, but years down the line, that seed of resentment can grow into a lot more of an issue to cascade into other problems. So realistically, it's probably going to boil down to either he is okay with it or just ends the relationship before they get married, because it already seems clear that the option of her getting it removed is not going to be without consequences. Consequences that fester and become worse and worse problems over the years. So let me know what you would do if somebody asked you to remove your tattoo that you had in dedication of your late child and partner. And jerk or not a jerk, and why? Am I the jerk for refusing to punish my daughter for taking all the apples that my wife's folks brought from their home country? My wife Lisa has been sick for the past couple of weeks. Her folks came over to visit, they live in another country, and brought with them some gifts and a small bag of apples. I was in the backyard while Lisa was with her folks. About 30 minutes later, I hear my daughter Alex, who's 16, shouting, "Dad, Dad!" from the kitchen. I head over to the kitchen and see Alex and Lisa fighting. I asked Lisa why she was yelling at Alex, and she tells me that Alex took all of the apples that my in-laws brought from their home country and shared them with her friends upstairs. I tell her that Alex probably didn't know, but she tells me that she explicitly told Alex not to touch them. I ask Alex if that was true, and she tells me yes, but that she had friends over and couldn't find anything else edible. Lisa goes over to the fridge, opens it, saying the fridge is literally full of snacks, and Alex did this just to spite her, and basically steal from her. I tell Lisa to calm down and that I'd go get her some apples from the grocery store. Lisa replies that those apples are special because they're from her home country and that she needed them for her recovery. She goes on to tell me that Alex intended to do this, and so something needs to happen. A punishment should be issued. I tell Alex to go upstairs and Lisa and I start arguing. I refuse to punish Alex because even if what she did was intentional, she's a kid and it's typical behavior. Lisa starts ranting about how this scenario keeps happening and I never take a stand, but I reply that she's just obsessed with having my daughter punished for some reason. She stops arguing now and stares at me. She then walks out and goes to stay with her folks until they'd left. Later she avoids me and refuses to speak to me. I found this whole thing quite ridiculous because Alex is just a kid, so she acts without thinking sometimes, but Lisa tends to get oversensitive and think that everyone is out to get her or something. I'm genuinely confused by her insistence to turn this into a huge deal. Am I the jerk for not punishing my daughter? Alex is 16 years old. She's not an infant. That is such a weird excuse to have for a kid who's 16. Whether or not it's typical, it's not something that is just compulsive that the 16-year-old can't help but eating these specific apples. Even from the way the OP writes it himself, it sounds like he's purposely trying to mischaracterize the wife here. I mean, he might think that the whole concept of her having apples from her home country to heal her is a little bit quirky, but it doesn't change the fact that she explicitly asked Alex not to eat these apples when there was tons of other food in the fridge and she still chose to eat these apples. I don't think it has anything to do with being oversensitive. It has to do with logically requesting something and then somebody choosing to disregard that. But maybe you think the opposite. How do you interpret this whole situation down below, and jerk or not a jerk, and why? When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories in this series, use the playlist at the top of the description. And next time you live stream, use the cream of the crop music. Search for Cream of the Stream on Spotify or whatever music platform you use for copyright-free music to use for your stream. It's free. Cream of the Stream. Either way, thanks a lot for listening. I'll see you guys next time.